Law school versus med school. Which one's harder? Which one is the more expensive? I brought in some of my friends today to talk about law school and medical school. Aloha! Welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, I am JV, a third year medical student of St. Luke's Medical Center College of Medicine, William H. Quasham Memorial. In this vlog, we are going to compare medical school and law school in terms of admission, student life, expenses, and so much more. Before we continue the video, I hope that you guys can give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Without further ado, let's get it. So hello guys, welcome to the vlog. So I'm super pleased to welcome some of my friends from Ateneo Law School, Megan and Sophia. And of course, my friends and my batchmates, Pao and Kai. So today's vlog is just a chika time about med and law school because these are the most common graduate programs that students seek, and also it's just an interesting discussion because at one point in my life I wanted to go to law school also, but now I'm in med school. So I'm gonna ask you guys questions comparing med and law school. Yung first one, which is harder to get into? Do you guys think it's law school or med school?
With the subjects required for the application of med school and law school, iba sila. So in med school, you need more science subjects. In law school, you need to take lit subjects in college. Pero I feel like law would be harder to get into just because for every law school, there's a test per law school that you have to take besides pa yung PhilSat. So med school, walang ganun and math, and then you apply with your score. So I think with that extra step, law school is harder to get into.
But fun fact lang, the PhilSat was declared unconstitutional recently.
Oh.
And what is also unconstitutional.
But the PhilSat was declared unconstitutional because yung magpe-prepare noon, it's the Legal Education Board, but only the Supreme Court has the right to regulate the legal profession.
I learned something today.
For me, I honestly don't know because I'm aware that the process is a bit the same. You will take entrance exams for school, and then for med school, you will have NMAT. After that, you will have interview. So I think the difference lies in the number one, exam questions, and number two, the behavior of the people who will interview.
I would say it's med school. For the exams kasi per school sa law school, mas onti yung kalaban mo as compared to the NMAT na it's national technically kalaban mo lahat na mga magte-take ng NMAT during your time of exam. So here naman, let's go some more objective question. Which one is the more expensive?
I feel like it's med school. There's so much more to pay for in terms of materials. Stethoscope pa lang magkano na. Kasi I believe sa mga internship, clerkship, parang required na complete yung gamit mo, diba? Kahit hindi mo naman magagamit until the very end.
Let's hear naman sa law side of things.
So I think med school is also more expensive because personally, I would buy books, yung mga important ones. When it comes to cases, reviewers, sometimes you can just make your own reviewer or parang people do soft copies now kasi i-print. And cases, you have CD Asia, so you can legally download these.
I agree. I think what will only make law school more expensive is you want to buy more outfits, like blazers, because some professors require students to dress up. So maybe that can be more expensive.
And at the same time, as compared to, correct me if I'm wrong ha, pero what I heard from friends, na around 80-something K yung tuition fee ninyo as compared to med school na around 140 to 160 to 70 K per semester. So, we're done talking about money naman. So now we're gonna ask you guys, which one is harder do you think? So kanina we talked about harder to get into, but the actual studying now, the actual education, which one is harder do you think?
Honestly, I think med school is harder because of the sheer volume of things that you have to learn. It's a lifelong learning thing eh. Kasi after 4 to 5 years of med school, you have 3 to 7 years of residency pa. Then another 2 to 3 years of fellowship. So it's really a lot to learn. But both are hard.
Well, based on experience, I feel like law school is harder. At least sa daily grind ng students. I guess because for law school, let's say you have 2 to 3 subjects a day. All of those subjects, you have to prepare for a recit. And it's not like the prof will be kind to you. Tapos parang may sense na mapapahiya ka. Pero wala naman talaga because, friends mo naman yung blockmates mo. So for me, law school is harder.
I agree with Pao when he said na med school is harder in the sense that there's so much to study and the studying kind of never stops. So it's really mentally tiring. But also, Sophia mentioned yung recit, which is one of my fears, honestly. So if it were a different person, it depends. What is your strength? Are you really great at studying or memorizing mga medical terms? Ganun. Yung ganun, may sarili-sariling difficulties na you can't really compare kasi apples and oranges. But personally, I feel like I will not survive law school talaga.
To be honest though, I'd say law school is much harder just because I experienced the suffering and the labyrinth of it all. So, but I think what really makes it hard is the volume of cases. And out of all the probably 50 cases that you read the night before, you have to be aware of the specific details. Oh, who's the petitioner, who's the respondent, what's the issue, what's the ratio, like that. And you have to recite that as if, wala naman yun, carry lang. So I think that's what makes it difficult, diba? Kasi ang hirap talaga, you can't fake it because you have to present yourself in the best way that you can to your professor. So that's what makes it hard.
Parang the way I see it is law school has more short-term assessments. No? Like daily, you really have to prepare for something. Like you said, recit. And then med, it's the continuous obtain information and then hone the skill, integrate, and then obtain more and then hone again. So long-term, short-term, mga ganun.
To add lang, I guess what makes law and med like super hard is like the knowledge na when we become doctors and lawyers, parang we're gonna be directly affecting people. Like, as future doctors, parang you have to be able to save lives. And for lawyers, ganun din, like, save or be able to convict criminals. So, parang may added pressure aside from the daily pressure na we feel na, ay, kailangan kong galingan not because of just an exam or a recit, but also because, I'm gonna be using this knowledge in the future to save people.
Well, very good discussion. Grabe, I learned so much from the discussion. And like, I would agree na like the point naman, at the end of the day of both like degrees, is basically to save lives then. And it's so nice that you point out na it depends upon the strength. But I would definitely say na law school is harder, much harder than med school, I would say. Because like in med school, I feel like, you keep on relearning things. Like for example, during first year, they study the parts and then second year, you kind of like touch on the parts again, and then which is the same thing for law. But then for law school, I think like if you become a lawyer in the future, you have to like memorize the thing, diba? Parang article something something section blah. Diba parang may ganon? In med, parang you kind of don't have to explain yourself eh. It's more of like, trust me, I know this. Parang ganon lang. So, in general, describe your educators. How are your profs naman?
They are all disciplinarians. That I would say. Because they all want you to pass the bar, so they will discipline you in a way that they think is effective for students. So some will use tough love, some naman will be motherly but strict. I think that's the common denominator among all of them. They're strict.
Ako personally, like nakita ko naman na from first sem na ugly recit, like I didn't know how to answer properly. Tapos come second sem, like it's getting better. The tough love allowed me to become stronger, less anxiety. May anxiety, pero hindi na ako susuka. Mga ganun.
Okay, what about from our med students in the house?
In St. Luke's, we are lucky with our professors. PR. No, but really, I expected na I will function out of fear of my professors. If there are professors who are strict, it's all within reason. I have not encountered a doctor yet or a professor of ours na I find them unnecessarily strict. And I think it helps that we're a very small school. So they really get to know the students. Can't speak for other schools though. I don't know what's going on there.
Hard same talaga. I feel like our professors are very the word I'm going to use is very considerate, especially since this pandemic started. I think the school's pandemic response has been very considerate for the students. But yun nga, with being considerate, tough love is also there always naman. But like I said, parang we haven't really encountered any profs na have a certain attitude just out of nowhere or without warrant. They're mad. Imagine how many years from now we're gonna be the ones taking care of our patients. And it's just about right na they expect the highest from us.
That's very well said, and I must agree na like yung common denominator talaga is yung tough love from our profs. And may reason din talaga and purpose din yon. Though like, I don't know, so some schools then I can't speak kasi I hear a lot of stuff, but you know, I'm not gonna say anything. So let's just move on to the next question, which is a very light question, by the way. So what do you guys enjoy most about law or med school? Let's start with the law students here.
Well, in Ateneo Law, like after exams, yung buong poblasyon, Ateneo Law students, ang laman yan, yung bar na yan. But for now, we shifted to Zoom. My favorite though is like the bond with your blockmates, with your friends, because you will never survive law school if you're alone. And I say that with conviction. You will only survive law school if you have friends and if you put value in the friendships and the relationships that you create and that you have.
Ako same, actually. I mean, fake naman kung sabihin ko yung lessons, diba? I mean, okay, marami ako tutunan. Weirdly, it's fun to learn a lot of things all at once. But then, obviously, when you're at that moment learning them, parang sabihin mo, diba? F the shit. Nagbura pa rin ako. So, ako, favorite part of law school is the friendships I've made. Like, sad lang kasi online, so I've never met anyone in real life aside from like some people. TBH, kahit never kaming nag-meet, at least yung friend group ko, parang we've seen everything. Yung breakdowns, like sabihin ko, wait lang, nag-breakdown lang ako. Sagutin ko mamaya. Tapos magsasend ako ng selfie na umiiyak as proof. Like, hindi na ako tumatakas, ganun. And then yung mga collective panic every time na bago mag-class na parang, okay, eto na. We can do this. Tapos, isa-isa na yan. Mag-chat na yan, isa-isa. Nasusuka na ako, ganyan. I mean, it's not fun experiencing that. But in hindsight, parang, buti may nasasabihan ako na ganong things. Because non-law people wouldn't understand na kung bakit ganon ka-OA yung nafe-feel kong anxiety.
I feel the same. It's the friends. They really get us through. I can't imagine myself suffering through med school alone. Now that we have online learning, it feels really different. I think the biggest adjustment for us, people who study in groups, is where is my group, diba? Even if you have Zoom study sessions, it's not the same na you're suffering together physically and titingin ka lang sa gilid, kung titinginan kayo na parang, tayo nag-aaral mga ganon. Wala na yung mga ganong moments. So I would say, really the thing I enjoy most is the bond that I share with people. And surprisingly, I made friendships with people that I don't imagine myself, like in the past, being friends with.
I think the thing I miss the most talaga is studying with your friends. Like Megan said, na you can't survive med school or law school without friends and without the support of your friends. Then. Especially when you're having those hell weeks, then you're just gonna cry together or have like mental breakdowns together at the same time. That's the best talaga. Like, you schedule it 5 minutes, ganun, we're gonna go out then scream or something. Like, those are the best times. It's an experience. Looking back at it, you're like, okay, I'm glad I experienced it because it made me a better person because I was able to go through all these hardships pala.
Do you guys have like worst experiences in med or law school?
A very frustrating thing is that, let's say you're interested in a certain subject, let's say neuroscience, and you're studying it really hard, you can't get it for some reason. And that's really frustrating. I feel like that's one of the worst things, especially if you're interested in getting into that field. I don't know if it's because of the subject matter itself or it's because we're in a pandemic. For me, that's a really hard feeling na you feel defeated sometimes.
I agree. Another thing would be the lack of sleep. Come on. What is it with schools and not allowing us to sleep? We're studying to be lawyers and doctors. Tao pa rin yun, di ba? Bakit bawal matulog? Bakit ba? I miss sleep that is guilt-free and peaceful. Walang anxiety dreams. Walang fear of alarms. Kung may alarm man. Kung matutulog man. So yung mga ganun. The worst things for me are lack of sleep and the feeling of being defeated.
I think I sleep too much nga kaya.
In law school, parang tip lagi talaga like ng higher batches is that you have to have complete sleep. I'm like, okay, edi complete sleep, pasunodin ako. So, okay, 8 hours. Nung college kasi, 10 hours yung tulog ko. So, ngayon nabawasan na, 8 hours na. So, yun na yung bawas.
But then, for like your waking hours, you're non-stop working, studying.
Oh. So, I think worst thing in law school would be how, for a lack of better term, medyo normalized yung feeling. May ibang tao, no, okay lang yan, normal lang. So, parang, okay. I mean, masaya, dapat ba masaya ako na may binaksak ako? Like, for me, that's one of the worst things in law school.
Yeah, I have to agree with Sophia because same experience. First year, first sem, feel ko first. Pero sabi nila, like, what made me get through that is, okay lang, like, madapa during, like, first year, first sem, kesa naman sa bar. So, I guess, having to overly compensate for your performance because of what you lacked in the past, that was, like, the worst thing. And no one was even judging me. All my blockmates were, no, Megan, kaya mo yan. That was, like, one mishap lang. Pero it was, like, the treatment that I did to myself, which also made me better because, you know, instead of striving to survive, I'm now striving to be excellent. But to add, the worst thing about my experience in law school naman was during on-site, I was away from my family kasi. Because originally, I'm from the province. I'm here in Cagayan now. Being away from your main support system was really, really difficult. Like, out of all the 6 years of my life staying alone in Manila, it was my first time to feel parang ma-home, anong tawag doon? Homesick. Ayan, ma-homesick. Ma-homesick. So, yon. But now, I'm not saying the pandemic was a blessing. Like, I'm not saying that at all. But, like, now, I'm with my family and I treasure every day, every moment with them.
So now, this is a fun task for you guys. Just give one med or law student stereotype.
Law students, more or less, are really good at dressing up. I guess it comes from profs requiring them to dress up. A lot of the law students I see, they have nice clothes.
I think most of them are children of doctors. I think that's the only stereotype that I know.
I don't know, like I always thought na law school students, they like debating or they like arguing and they don't want to do. So I was thinking na if law school students date each other, tapos may argument sila, shit, like how are they gonna solve that? Who's gonna compromise, you know?
My boyfriend kasi, he's a law student. But when we fight, I'm the one who talks a lot. And he'd be like, I invoke my right to self-incrimination. I'll just shut up. He'd also say na, there's a presumption of innocence unless it is proven beyond reasonable doubt that I did something. I am innocent. Ganyan. Tapos lalabasan na ng mga doctrines here and there. Na parang, you don't have the right to curtail my freedom of speech and expression. Parang gano'n.
Pag sila nag-aaway, they get to review their lessons.
Yeah.
So like when they answer exams, parang pinag-awayan namin, tapos ginamit ko tong argument na to. O, di ba?
So, lesson for today, guys. Never date a law student.
For me, surface level din. I'm basing this off of a K-drama I'm watching, Hospital Playlist. This is not an insult, by the way. Stressed look. Yung mga kulang sa ligo. Like, I'm sorry. Kasi diba, sa Hospital Playlist, minsan, like, okay, suot ko, tapos rampa na sa ER, ganon. But like, you know, kudos because it means they're dedicated to the study of medicine.
What profession is more attractive?
Top of the head, I feel like it's doctors.
I think lawyer.
Ako, doctors.
Pow.
Siyempre, lawyers.
Really?
Kasi yung suits.
For me, lawyers then, feeling ko mas maangas sila, like, tignan. Because, I don't know, like, for me, in my own opinion, parang like, meron yung lawyer look, walang med look without the steth eh. Basically, that's how we compared med and law school. And like, very good point yung sinabi ni Sophia kanina na at the end of the day, we're here to save lives in different aspects lang. You know, if you're thinking about law or med school, like, I mean, kahit naman saan ka pupunta, as long as you know your purpose and you know your reasons why you're doing such thing, then everything will be alright. So before we end, guys, I just wanna thank you so much for spending your time with me. Talaga, like, super na-appreciate ko to kasi I know na marami kayong ginagawa sa mga buhay nyo, but, you know, super thankful talaga. And for the viewers naman, thank you for watching us and I'll see you guys on the next one.